This is the Business Beautician. This is Catherine Reynolds, and I wanted to come on to talk about something today that I feel really passionate about, and that's knowing the many ways these days that you can start to monetize your website and the amazing possibilities of being a modern entrepreneur. And everything that you can do yourself without spending thousands of pounds on graphic design and developers, and it's just absolutely amazing what you can get done yourself with very little money, which is always really good. So I want to talk to you about some of the ways that you can monetize your website, some of which I've done, some of which I haven't, some of which I've heard of, and actually it's a mega list which I have written down so I don't forget the meganess of the list of things that you can do with your website. Oh, hi Laura. I popped up in the corner of your screen. That might scare people actually. Yeah, so I love the way it tells people whether you're live or not. I end up listening to so many calls that way because it's popped up in the corner of my screen. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I get completely diverted from whatever I was doing. So, but again, that's another way. You can just pop up in the corner of everyone's screen for free. Just phenomenal, really. So I want to talk to you a bit about the possibilities of what's out there and the opportunities, and a bit of what's available. Through what I teach, how to build WordPress websites, how to design WordPress websites to entrepreneurs with no techie or design experience. And it's just amazing what can get done with no techie or design experience. So you don't have to know coding and you can do all this stuff anyway. It's just amazing. So yeah, this is something I feel really passionate about, is opening up this world to entrepreneurs and making their ideas happen. Giving them the chance to make it happen without spending tens of thousands of pounds, really, or dollars if you're in America. Apparently I have an LA following. I don't know how that happens, and Sydney, which again is something that's just couldn't have happened before. So the way I think about my business is really empowering entrepreneurs to do all these wonderful things, and giving them the control of their online business and giving them the control of expanding all their ideas and expanding their online business and really doing it all themselves, whether they actually are doing the content or whether they've got VAs, they've got a team, they know what's going on, they're in control, and they can grow their business in this wonderful way. So if we think about some of the businesses that are out there at the moment that just wouldn't have existed before, or they wouldn't have existed in the same way, and you just get an idea of the immense changes that have happened over the past 10, 20 years, that even in the last 5 years, my business wouldn't have been the same. Even in the last 2 years, it wouldn't have been the same. And if you think of like the great big business coaches or the life coaches out there who've got membership sites, they have partnerships, they have a TV channel, they have a podcast, they have word of mouth advertising that's international, that it wouldn't have been able to happen before. And by joining all these bits of tech, by understanding how this tech can work for you, you can really start to see how you can grow a big business from basically nothing. So the likes of Marie Forleo, who's got a TV channel and that she's done herself, through her business, and she's got a website that not only displays her excellence but also displays her partner's excellence, and it teaches so many people how to go into business. She's got memberships, she's got courses, she's got classes, and it's a completely modern online business that simply wouldn't have been possible unless she had tens of thousands to invest in these sorts of things, to make her own Facebook community, to make her own sort of shop, to get something developed and written would cost tens thousands of pounds. And it probably didn't cost her that to begin with. In fact, if you go back and you see her old sites, it definitely didn't cost her that. But that's how it used to be. It used to be that you had to invest tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds to get these sorts of things off the ground. And you'd go to an old graphic design company that might have joined up with a developer, or they might have an in-house developer who would then literally code everything and write everything. This needs to be this part for the screen, and then it needs to join up with that. And that's why they look so clunky in the 90s, because they were literally writing everything from scratch. And one of the most powerful developments is that there are these platforms, WordPress being one of them, Squarespace, Wix to a certain extent, though I'm not friends with Wix. Sorry, Wix. And these allow you to base your website on what was written before, and you can grow it from there. You can plug different things in, you can add on different things, but you're not rewriting the wheel every single time. And that's where the difference is, and it's just become so more and more and more accessible. Like your PC has become more and more accessible, so now it's not a green screen where you have to type in some sort of weird magic code and then press enter. It's exactly the same, and now online business is exactly the same. It's just amazing how inclusive it now is, and we should really know what's available, because one of the barriers to growing and to making all these ideas happen is that people come to me and say, oh, that's not possible, or I'd really like it to do this that this other website does, but I've no idea how, or I really love the way this website does that. How much is that going to cost? And sometimes it's like, well, that's just use this, plug it in. That works. Set it up a little bit, make it look pretty, and then that works. But all these different functions and all these different ideas that sparks, and all these different ways of selling online, of monetizing your site, of partnering with other sites, of getting people on board, of creating community and spreading the word. It's just so easy, and it's all written for you. It's all something you can literally plug in and go. So one of my, I'm working on a big, exciting secret big project at the moment, and that relies entirely on the ease of these things, and the ease of putting. I have obviously a great business idea and somewhere to go in a great market, and I know what I'm doing, but it's literally just, this has been written, this has been written, they could work together. That is how I will do it. So it's just using the tools, but of course it's knowing what the tools can do for you that really helps. So I wanted to go through a big list of what's actually out there. So I warn you, you might have ideas during this live on what you can do on your website, because there are quite a few things that I know that people don't know they can do, and in a really easy way. So bear with me. So we have what's accessible at the moment. What can we do with our websites? It just takes the mystery out of things. So I'm going to start with e-commerce. I mean, that's the obvious one, isn't it? So you've got a website, looks nice, you're just selling yourself. It's like a bit like a brochure. Oh yes, that's nice. That's who she is. That's the about. Oh yes, and they sell these sorts of products. I will phone them up. Old way of doing things on a phone. But now, of course, we can sell on our websites. They can become little shops. So I still get phone calls from people saying, I need an e-commerce shop. What do you suggest? And they go through, I've looked at these sorts of platforms which offer basically a shop that you can brand up. I've looked at these sorts of ways of building one, and it's just got really confusing and everything I need for it, and it's just made my mind go which is understandable because there's just so many options out there. But as I say, I work with WordPress, and I work with WordPress because it's flexible and it's got all these different options. So there are different sorts of shop plugins you can get. But basically they all do the same thing, is they turn your nice little brochure website into something that will sell. A shop. What can you sell? You can sell so many different things. And I have made a list of them. I will explain what they are because some of them are a bit, what the hell is that? So obviously you can sell physical products, which you then post out. You can charge delivery on your website. You can have a great payment gateway and tap save. They pay through PayPal or Stripe or whatever. And you send off we go to post office, send off the products. Okay, so that's the simple one. It's a simple shop that people are probably thinking of when they think of e-commerce. But you can also sell digital products. So you've got the physical products that you post off, and you've got the digital products, which is, say, knitting patterns, for example, that you download, or an information book that you can sell and that people download as PDF, those sorts of digital products. I've got classes, which are just literally a downloadable video and workbook, which you could sell through a shop. And so that's a classical digital. So there's no other sorts of input from you. So those are the very simplest shops that you can do, and that's where most people's knowledge of what you can make, what you can create with a modern website sort of ends. You've got the physical and the digital, and that's great. It's a shop. You can set up shop, and it's brilliant. But there's so much more that we can do, and most of this is actually in WordPress is free. It's hosted, of course, but WordPress is free. And WooCommerce, which is what I use because it's the most flexible and the most developed, I also use. And there are a number of things that are actually a part of the core, the free core of WooCommerce, which is quite shocking, because this is something that you can upgrade, you could extend it, you can buy different bits and pieces for it, but the actual core of it is totally free. And always updated, which is good. But there are a number of things that are included within that course. You've got all the delivery, and you've got the invoicing, and you've got the shipping, which you can choose where to ship to. You can choose what you charge. You can choose where you ship to, what you charge, and everything in between. And you can choose physical or digital products. There are a number of other things you can choose. You can choose to, and this is included in the free one, to send people off your website to an affiliate site where you can earn a fee. So for every product that you put on, you're not actually sending it, you're not delivering it yourself, you're sending it to another site, and then you're earning an affiliate fee. And that is actually included within the core setup of WooCommerce, which is free. Which is quite amazing. Not many people know that, to say. So that's one thing you can do. You can also add on coupons and offers. So on your own website, you can have a fully fledged shop selling your physical, your digital products, and then you can have coupons and offers and advertise those. Again, you're bringing more people onto your website. That is included in the core of WooCommerce, which is absolutely amazing. You can also choose a number of payment gateways, which is also included, or they have some little free add-ons so it doesn't complicate everything when you first load it on. So you can pay through Stripe or PayPal or WorldPay or Apple Pay, or the list goes on. I mean, it's a massive, massive list. And again, one of the reasons why I like this plugin and why I like WordPress is that it's constantly updated, so it's constantly modernized. So you've got all that flexibility of taking control of how you're taking payment. It's not just through the normal channels. So that's really a really strong plus of doing it on your own website and doing it for yourself. So we've also got a really flexible shop design, so you can split everything up into categories. You can have departments, you can have massive menus that drop down like they do on the big retail sites. So you've got girls, and then you've got coats and footwear and all this sort of thing. So you can do that on your website. You can make it into something that actually looks like you'd be a big store, and you can filter people through. So you can do that on your own website, on your own e-commerce site. And then you can expand things. So it can get really big. So you can group products together. You can have this product is associated with this product. So if you like this necklace, you could buy this bracelet. Or you can group things together. So you actually have a grouped product and then your 2 singles. You might have a necklace and a bracelet separately with an upsell to the bracelet to match the necklace. But you can also have a grouped product. So maybe if you buy the necklace, you get the bracelet half price if you buy it as a bundle. It's another add-on that you can have into WooCommerce, and it's cheap and relatively easy to do. So again, it's just upping the power of your shop, and it's amazing the sorts of things you can do. You can also, with all the themes, you can design your shop, you can make it look however you want. You can brand everything up. Nothing has WooCommerce or WordPress plastered all over it. It looks like a professional, and some big shops, some big websites do use, I say some, I think it's about 1/3 of the market, use WordPress for their websites, and some of them are massive. And you wouldn't think that it's something that you could use for your own website. So what else can we do? Let me have a look. Right, we can do subscription products. So this is where we're getting a little bit into the membership area, but you can also add it to one of the e-commerce plugins like WooCommerce. Is taking subscriptions, so if you want a monthly payment, and you can attach that to whatever products you like. So it could be digital products, it could be physical products sent out on a monthly basis, and it just shows the amount of creativity you can have with this. You can also do drop shipping, which means that you sell it on your website and then it sends a note out to somebody else to send it out. Or you can do percentage of sales, so you can split sales. So maybe if you sell it on your website, you get 80%, somebody else gets 20% and sends it out, or anything in between. So, so the amount of opportunities there is phenomenal. So I was actually thinking, my husband's an osteopath, and he works a lot with pregnant women and women with babies and small babies themselves. And I have a bad back. Yes, it's useful. I'm married to an osteopath, although I can never get an appointment. And I was thinking of maybe setting up a website that sells back-friendly products for parents, because if you've ever lifted a child seat with a child in it and lifted it around like you are tempted to do when you have children because you don't want to wake them up, it really kills your back. So I was thinking of gathering together all these back-friendly products onto a website, and I wouldn't have sent them out myself because that would be a logistical nightmare. I would have worked it so that I sold the product, but it was shipped from elsewhere. I was also thinking about doing the percentage of sales, so split selling, so somebody else would get some money from sales made on my website. So there are all these different ways that I could have worked that. Also, I was thinking about linking in advertising from these big brands, and really upping the visibility of my site by working with these big brands, and making it all work together. So I didn't do it, obviously, but that was one way that I was thinking, because I know that it does these things. I was thinking, well, there's a real opportunity there to make my life easier, and with very little extra knowledge about building a website, without having to go to a developer and say, this is my business idea, create it, because it's already done. And I always say to my clients, if you can imagine it, it means that somebody else has probably done it. If you've seen it somewhere else, then somebody else definitely has done it, and I can bet that somebody has created an easy way that you can do it too. And so far I haven't been proven wrong. Actually, if you can think of anything, type it in and I'm going to investigate. That'd be good. Emma says, I've always used Etsy for my digital products because it's easy. Yes. Definitely going to look into doing this through WordPress now. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Etsy's fantastic. Of course, it does take a little cut, but it has a massive market on there. So really, I think when Etsy first started out, there wasn't that market. People weren't used to buying handmade products online. It's set through eBay, which looks like eBay looks like. And eBay's fantastic, but it doesn't offer what Etsy offers, which is somewhere where it's more of a community and it's all about quality and it's all about handmade and it's more of a community feeling. So it draws in that huge market and that huge audience. So it has its place in that. But some of the opportunities may be on moving forwards once you've got that basic background, you've got your market, and you start to grow and you start to see these other opportunities, you can grow your business in a different way. So I don't see really as them as competition. I more see people either start out on Etsy and they move on to something else as they grow out in different directions, or they need to grow out in different directions, or one can work alongside the other. So it's always something to investigate. It's not either and or for me at all. And I know a lot of people who run a blog alongside an Etsy website, Etsy shop, and that works really well. And in fact, that's how Etsy's really, really grown, and it's really succeeded because people bring in the market to them. In fact, I think their advertising is like 20% of their sales comes from paid advertising. The other 80% is literally word of mouth, and the sellers bringing in the community. So it's a really interesting one, is Etsy, actually. Something I've been researching, can you tell? Liz says, oh, she's just off to the hairdresser. We'll catch up on this later. She's starting again in February with her website. Yes, she's on my course. And she's doing 2 websites at the same time. Typical Liz. Yeah, see you later, Liz. So, right, yes, back to the list. What else can we do? Right, okay, so we can sell, mixed type products, so we can have a bit of physical and a bit of digital. Subscription products, so we can charge every month or every week or every day if you want. Drop shipping, payment gateways, mentioned that. Coupons and offers. Linked advertising, yes, we can link in advertising, either upselling and cross-selling within your own shop, or you can actually link adverts for products off your site, which you might earn affiliate sales with, to a particular product on your website. So you're building, you're helping the people who are visiting your shop by showing them what else is out there that they might be interested in. You're also helping yourself to let the cash there, and you're also helping your partner, the product that you're advertising, to grow their market. So it's all good, it's all great selling, and as long as you're matching up those sorts of products and it's really helpful to your market, then absolutely that is a must do. So you can link those adverts, and again, that's not done by a little bit of coding magic done in and to spend thousands on. That can be done pretty easily with the plugin to something you're already using. So it becomes easier and easier the more this is developed, the more ideas that are out there, the more that people are creating and thinking of new things, the more opportunities there are. You can also sell blog space. So not only can you write blogs, but you can get, if you have a lot of people coming onto your website, you can sell publishing space. You're selling a bit of your real estate. So if you look at your website as a shop, you're selling like a little display for somebody. So they could sell their products on your shop, which you could get a percentage for, of course. And they could write their blogs. You could maybe charge them for a listing or a blog, or to publish with you, or to advertise with you. The opportunities for partnership on your website, in your shop, are fantastic. I just wanted to mention there is a weird thing that WordPress does, which is called multi-site. Etsy is a great example of a multi-site. Can't remember whether they're actually WordPress or not. Don't think they are. But they basically have a series of little shops, and the shop owners, the creators, own their shop, their shop on a shop, and you can actually do that with WordPress. WordPress.com, which is different from WordPress.org, which is highly confusing. I wish they'd change that. Is somewhere where you can host a blog for free. But actually, those little websites that you can set up on WordPress.com sit on WordPress, and they're a multi-site. So you have somebody who controls everything, the big admin, and then you have the little sites underneath it, or the little shops underneath it. So you can actually set that up, again, relatively easily, just through WordPress yourself. You don't have to go to a developer. So you don't have to get somebody to make that for you. And the possibilities with that are endless. And in fact, my big project may involve that. Using lots of different shops, lots of different creators. Watch this space. It won't be for a bit, but watch this space. But just thinking of ways that you can really work with these things to grow your business, and give you ideas. So we also have memberships. So not only have we got subscription products, but you can also have memberships on your website. You can have clubs where people pay every month and then they get access to private content. You can have socials, you can have forums on there, you can have help forums, you can have a ticketing system for help, you can add classes, you can add dripped classes in courses so that people get the content week by week. You can then charge monthly, weekly, and only they will be able to get to the private area of your site. Again, unbelievably simple to do considering the complexity of what it would have taken before to do it. And you can create something that just looks as if it were designed and were built for you. And in fact, it would look better than something that was built in the year 2000. You can also do quizzes, gamification. You can reward people for completing courses, for getting to the end of the module, for completing a quiz, for getting the answers right. You can monitor them through their course. You can see how they're doing. You can have them comment below so that you can help them on the actual course that they're on. You can link it to groups in Facebook and social media, and then you can feed that through word of mouth, get more people on your course. It's a really powerful stuff, and a lot of the online entrepreneurs, the female entrepreneurs particularly, have utilised this to build communities of people and to really help people without having to invest the thousands of pounds to get going. So they really can get out there and help, which is what they do best. I haven't finished my list now. Big breath. You can also advertise. So it really does help. This is one way that having your own website really does help you with advertising your products, is that through Google and Facebook, they have a thing called a pixel, which sounds complicated. It's not. You just put it on your website and it monitors who comes through, and then it will advertise, it will re-advertise to people who've taken an interest in a certain product, who've got a certain place in the product scheme. So, you know, if you're on Facebook or Google and you see, and you've been looking at, so roller skates, I know because I was looking at roller skates. Oh, bye Laura. And I had roller skates appearing on my Facebook feed and everything else on Google that I searched for a few weeks. Actually, I think it was about 3 weeks of roller skates. Yes, I've looked at roller skates. Can you tell I've looked at roller skates? I have this wonderful screenshot where I don't know what, I was looking at something completely unrelated and it was surrounded by a ring of roller skates. Well, it's not just the big people who can do that. This is actually done through putting a little bit of code on your website. It picks up that you've been to that particular product or that particular website, and it will show it to you again and again and again and again. It's really clever. But that's, again, rather easy to do. And it's literally copying something from Facebook, pasting it into a certain place on your website and leaving it to do its stuff. And then you can use that for your advertising campaigns as you go forward. So that's another way that having your own website really does benefit you once you get that up and running. You can also use advertising from pay-per-click, which is where you would get a ring of roller skates going around. So on your own website, you can actually put in a little bit of code from Google that will basically pay out when people click on it. And that's really, again, really easy to do. That's all been set up for you. It's literally put it there and make it run for you. You can also sell ad space on your website. So again, this is really utilizing your website as piece of real estate that you can sell a room in, or a side corridor or a sidebar, or you can sell ad space next to certain blogs or certain blog categories, so it's really relevant and helpful to your visitors. But again, there's loads of opportunity with doing that. A directory, so you can actually have rather easy themes or plugins that allow you to make listings, events, ticketing systems. You can have like a Yellow Pages sort of thing. I'm doing a directory website for the Wedding Guide UK at the moment, which has listings for wedding businesses. It's obviously targeted at people getting married, so it's everything that would interest them. And so you can sell a directory, you can sell listings, you can upsell from that, so you can then have advertising that matches the listings, which matches the blogs. You can sell tickets and events, you can create a job board, you can create a community, you can make a movement out of the whole thing. You can have people together, like Etsy has brought all the crafters together. They actually went round to craft fairs and then brought them online. You can create that sort of community, and people are more used to it these days, on your website, and then give them what they want. So you can have job boards. So I'm planning on my secret project, which will involve other designers. So creating rather community, so you've got community feel, and to helping them and to get them blogging on there, and to giving my other audience tips. So yes, you can also sell publishing space. You can create a bilingual and international website. Again, that's just a plugin, and that even produces the little flags at the top. Affiliate scheme, so you can set up an affiliate scheme so other people can sell your products. Again, really easy to do. You can get people to donate to research and really create a buzz around a new product that you're doing. You can get people to sponsor your blogs. Maybe they put advertising in there. Partner up to do blogs. List building, of course. People often think about their little pop-ups. So again, through a website's fantastic, and you're creating somewhere that people will want to go and read from you. And you can also do paid webinars, so you can have things like Facebook Live on there. You can have a page, you can have your own TV show, or you can do it through social media and link it all up. And then the last one on my list, although it's probably not an exhaustive list, and again, if you can think of any, please pop that in, is you can sell your website, once you've done, as a money-making asset, because you've created something. And it's something that's worth something. And if you've already sold stuff through it, it's an asset you can sell. Ta-da! So that isn't an exhaustive list of everything you can do with a website. And in my case, of course, because I work with WordPress, not everything you can do with a WordPress website. But it's a pretty mind-blowing amount of stuff that I could think of that you can do. And I hope it gives you some ideas of not only how you can make some of your present ideas come true, but also maybe spark some others. Oh, I didn't realize we could do that. There are different ways of monetizing various parts of your website and various parts of your blog. I've got CBSE trolls. What are you saying? Related to what? Just going through a list of what is possible to do when you build a WordPress website, and just to give people ideas of the technology that's out there, and how it can be used, and some of the easy ways that wouldn't have been available in the past, and are now literally plug and play. So basically empowering people with, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it could be that easy. Have we got any other comments on here? Yeah, if you've got any questions, just pop them in, or if you're watching a recording of this, come back. I will be watching the feed to see whether anything else comes through. Hello, Fiona. But yeah, or if you can think of anything, does it do that? That would be really interesting. I'm always up for a challenge. Sometimes we have to make that work with that to make it do that, but I haven't been wrong yet. So it's a challenge for you. Let's find out something that WordPress can't do. And if it doesn't, why not? But yeah, I'd be really interested to find out if there is something. If you're you don't have a website, or you're a bit not quite sure how I'd start all this, sounds fantastic, but not for me. And for the techie out there, I have 1 week left of my launch of Online Gorgeous, which is a course I've run 7 times already, and it's produced some absolutely gorgeous websites that do some really wonderful things. Then I will pop a link below this live. It's businessbeautician.com/online-gorgeous, and the course is an 8-week course to get you online, branded, looking absolutely fabulous. Add a shop, add membership, and you get loads and loads of help and loads of support, because it's aimed at complete beginners or people who really need to get their website and their branding sorted. So I talk about a lot of this stuff on the course, and a lot of the possibilities, and it's really great to work with entrepreneurs who are particularly at the start of their business, because, hi Lisa, because they're really looking at getting their ideas out there, and they've got so many passionate ideas they just want to get done, and they don't want to be held back by the technicalities of branding up and creating a website. So I love running the course. I love the support. We have design hot seats. We have tech clinics to help you out if you get stuck. I jump on and untangle people if they have got in a mess. And yeah, it's a great way to do it, I think, because you get control from the start. You can see what's possible, and you're not just relying on somebody else's knowledge of how to do something, to update stuff or to create something new, because that's what we do, isn't it? As entrepreneurs, we create something new. We come up with new ideas, and then we see, amazing idea. Now let's see if it's possible. Well, that's how I do it anyway. So it's been wonderful to be on here. Any questions, pop them in. If you're interested in Online Gorgeous, I'll have the link in here on Facebook, or if you're on Instagram, it's in my bio. Just click that. And wonderful to see you. Oh, we've got a question from Lisa. When you build a website, it's an Instagram, people on Facebook. You build a website, do it automatically become mobile friendly, or do you have to build that in? Yes, that's another thing that it does these days, is that I would say that you'd be hard pressed to find a theme, which is how WordPress works. You get WordPress, which is the gubbins of behind, that's like the engine, and then you get to design it with your theme, which is like the paint job. I don't think there's a theme that isn't now mobile friendly. I think you'd be really hard pressed to find one unless you've got something very, very old. So what they basically do is you design either mobile first, so you design on something screen that big, or that big if it's a tablet, and then it will automatically resize. So it will make the text grow, and it will make everything fit properly. The only thing it doesn't do is redesign imagery. So it's another thing that I teach on the course is, yes, they're all mobile friendly in that, which is picked up from Google, in that it does resize stuff. So it will resize it so you can read it. There are just a few tweaks and tricks to getting it to look good, or look as good as it can on the different size screens. Because if you think about it, something that's this shape, it's long and thin, isn't going to look the same when it's thin and long. Right. Different shape rectangle, as you can see. So imagery particularly, the words will shrink down as you go in, mobile friendly. And yes, it does that automatically, and it does resize some imagery, but there are some tricks to doing it so it looks good, because computers aren't very good at seeing, because they don't have eyes. They just understand what's contained on the screen, which is what Google picks up on. So yes and no, and again, it is a lot easier than it ever has been, where in fact before mobile devices, of course, have only really been around, the smart devices, for relatively short amount of time. So all these website builders have had to move alongside it, and they're really doing a fantastic job. So it wasn't a problem in the past. and it is now. So they really do address that. So yes, they are all mobile friendly. Okay, I think I'm all done. I will, as I say, post the links in. And thank you for being here. Thank you for joining in. I do hate sitting here on a live and nobody joins in, so that's lovely. All right, I hope I've given you some great ideas, and please come in and ask any questions. Being stuck and tech is not a good place to be. Right, so I've now got to find all the buttons to be not live in both places at once. So I shall say goodbye Instagram, and I shall say goodbye Facebook. Hello, this is Catherine Reynolds from The Business Beautician, and I have just popped on for a quick live to talk a little bit about what a brand is and what it isn't, and where you might be getting confused, and how you can use all of your visual branding to sum your brand up rather than just one tiny little bit, which is what some people do. So what I want to talk about today is a brand is not just a logo. So what is it? If it's not just a logo, what is it? I get so many people talk to me about, oh, I've got my branding done. I've got a logo. Yay. What do I do with it? A logo's great, but ever more, it's becoming just a tiny, really part of your branding that actually, it never sits on its own. It'll be surrounded by the rest of your brand. It'll be surrounded by your website or your social media page or what you're saying or on a blog, or if you sell an actual physical product, it'll be on your product with the rest of the packaging. So really, it's just tiny, weeny bits. And logos have, in effect, become a little bit less powerful as we've got all these different ways of communicating, and as we've got all these different tools to our disposal to talk to our customers and to be visual to our customers. Logos are just a tiny, weeny bit of it. So if you think you've got your branding done because you've got a logo, there's a long way to go. There's a lot to think about, and there's a lot that goes into a great brand that's more than a logo, or even more just the visual stuff. And it's amazing how, because our world is now so visual, how all the non-visual stuff is actually communicating your brand. So getting the visual parts of your branding right can make all these things work so much better. So it's not just a logo, it's a lot of things. So I thought I'd just pop on here and I'd give you a list of everything that your brand is, as well as everything that it is not, or not just. So what is a brand? It is your logo, okay, but it is also your business name, the way you approach things. So your business name, you might have something that's completely off the radar because you want to make it a brand. And that often is how it goes on to being a logo. So something like Vimeo for video, vimeo.com, Canva, made up word, became Canva. And that has become a logo, but it's also their name, it's also who they are, and it's become a bit of a dictionary term as well. So those are the sorts of names that become a brand. And not just a visual brand anymore, because it's also something you type in canva.com, you go to their website, and that's what it's all about. So for many of us, the business name is tied in with this whole idea of what the logo used to be, which is just something you'd recognize because it's actually something that you'd use, and you might use in conversations. So like goes Canva to do it, or Google it. That's a very big example, but again, it's a word that it's actually an existing word, but it's a word that they made very popular and it became their brand. So Facebook, again, go on Facebook. Go Facebook it. Seen you on Facebook. So it's kind of a verbal, an audio brand, an audio logo, if you like. So your biz name, it's also
a brand is the way that you approach everything. So when it's a big company, they often have huge guides to what the brand is. You don't need that, because a smaller company, you might have a few employees, but really it's about how you approach your business, how you approach your customers, how you approach what you're doing, what your ideas are, what the direction is. And you don't need a mission statement and a massive great big tome to tell you where you're going with things. I've got a sentence which I've pinned. Actually, I'll take it off my wall for this is my mission. That's as long as it needs to be, but that gives me some guidance, and it's literally a sentence, couple of sentences. It's literally an example of exactly how I want to approach things, where I'm coming from. It uses some of the words that I'd use, and it tries to tie things together. So it gives me a bit of a focus, if nothing else. And that is something that will come across in all of my visuals. So whether it's my website or on social media, whether it's the colours I use, the images I choose, some of that character from my mission statement will be in there, as well as my business name. So Business Beautician, everything is businessy beautiful and lovely and light like that. So it is also, a brand is also the words that you will use, so the way you will write. And this is something I go through in my branding module in Online Gorgeous, my branding and website building course I've just released again. And it goes through how to look at the words that you use and then to apply them to your visual branding. So I often try to come up with, I even go to thesaurus and dictionaries to find words that really sum up the way I feel about my business and the way that I feel about my customers and the energy that I try and put in. So with my business, which is a bit airy-fairy, and it's sparkly and light and jumping up and down and rather childish, actually, because that's me, and that's how I talk to people. So hi, as you can see. So on my mission, I have fun, visual, imaginative, passionate, rebel, empowering, confidence, pride, possibility, and also things like light it up and effervescent and oh, hello, self-care bestie. Oh, she loves it. Grinny, smiley, happy, fun, and all these sorts of words are part of my brand, and I use them in my blogs, and I use them in social media. I use them when I'm talking randomly to the camera here. Lucy says I always get stuck here. Oh, with your character of your brand. Yes. What I actually try and find really works, if I can come up with a few words, I literally type them into Google and see what words match it, really, or a thesaurus or anything like that. So you just type it in, come up with your words, come up with some similar words, and then just let it roll like that. And I find that that actually always inspires me. And then I've literally got a list of words that I use across everything. And I have them in my mind when I'm thinking about imagery as well. And it does make everything a hell of a lot easier. So that's a really great way to work out your branding. If you haven't done my branding quiz, Lucy, if you go to businessbeautician.com/quiz, which I'll pop into the comments afterwards, it takes you through a number of different ways to find out what your business character is, and then it's a fun quiz, and then at the end of it you get a PDF which has a list of words that might suit your business character. So you get something that's really tailored to you. But it's a great way to start. It's a great way to just delve into that way of thinking of your business as a brand character, and then applying it to something visual, which is where I come in. So that's always good. So yeah, the words that you use, the way that you write, so again, I use it throughout everything, the way I speak comes naturally. Silliness is one of my words, as you can probably tell, and the method that you use, so the way that you write things. So I tend to write things in quite short sentences, or I use things in threes for some bizarre reason, and something. But there you go. So my words are always set out that way. It's also the impression that you make. So this naturally comes as you develop your brand character, you'll start to develop a way of making that impression, because it will just come naturally, and so it'll be embedded in everything. And this is where consistency comes in. So people can recognize you, they can recognize your brands, and they will obviously start buying from you because they know who you are. They'll trust you. They'll know your character. They'll know your business character. So first impressions are absolutely essential, and consistency is all a part of that. So when I'm looking at setting up a brand and I'm looking at those words, it really is going to filter down into everything, including the visuals, which is a fantastic way of communicating it. So it's also the way you'll deal with your customers, again with my mission statement on my wall, which should be in front, but my screen's in front. I'll put it up there so I can just go, ooh. So the way that you deal with your customers, always come back to the way that central bit of your business. So that's central, the way you approach things, that central mission statement. I really hate that word. I'm going to have to find a different word for it. Mission statement. That sentence is everything that your business is. And that also it'll reflect on the way that you do with your customers, because you'll be really focused on what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it. And it will also affect the perception of your business, the impression of your business, what people are expecting of your business, and the emotions that your business evokes. Because obviously if you've got something that's really hyper and positive and woo, that is the emotion that will come across, unless it's sheer annoyance, but then they'll turn off and they were never your customer anyway. But you're trying to evoke these sorts of emotions. So if you have a caring business, you're trying to evoke that sort of cuddly, warm, come in and talk to me and I'll listen feeling, and very friendly feeling, very open feeling. That's the sort of emotion that you want people to feel as they come in. So this is where I need to be. This is somebody I trust. This is somebody that will listen to me and I feel totally at home talking to them. So these sorts of different emotions can be through your words. I'm a designer, so I do it all through imagery and jumping around in front of a camera. But translating that into your visual branding is very important. But that's just a tool to do it. So you've also got all your words and your business name, and it all come through there with the emotions that your business evokes. The promises that you make, products that you make, of course. All these are tied together. The expectations that your customers have of you, and that's mainly through experience, but it's also through this trust, this know and trust factor of seeing you, of talking to you, of communicating with you. So it's all tied up in this, and this is all your brands. How you communicate, so whether it's through social media, whether it's on video, whether it's through blogs, whether it's on TV, whether it's literally just through advertising in a magazine, whether it's face-to-face if you're in a shop, all of that will be tied in with this one way that you look at things, this one way with this whole brand character that you're building up. So on the second page now of my list here. So all of those things, how are you going to get them across? So I've already said, I've talked about the words that you use and the way that you use them, how you use them, where you use them. But I obviously, as a designer, I need to translate them into a visual brand. So all of these things need to be communicated through your visuals, whether it's on your website or on social media, or whether it's on a poster or a leaflet that drops through the door, or even whether it's on your business card. Everything needs to have that consistent feel, that nothing jarring that somebody's going to go, well, this isn't them, well, this isn't real, and who's this? You know, they need to recognise it. Just in the same way as you've probably seen that logo game where it's like, oh, what's this? It's like a board game and you have to guess the logo, and I've never played it, can you tell? But people will instantly get the logo. But what you want is for them to instantly get your brand, remember your brand, without having to see a tiny, tiny little logo at the top of everything. Whether it's a social media meme or whether it's your whole website, everything will tie together and nothing will be standing out as, oh, that's a bit naff, that's not them. It'll all just flow perfectly. So a visual brand is a really great way to do this and to communicate all of this stuff that I've been talking about. Because there's a lot in there. I mean, my statement, shall I read it out to you? I will read it out to you. I hate doing this. Okay, you ready? My mission in life at the moment is to use my fun, visual, imaginative design and tech superpowers, got to get superpowers in there, to empower passionate rebel entrepreneurs to move beyond stale and grow a gorgeous online business they love with confidence, pride and possibility. It's exciting, isn't it? That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be about showing entrepreneurs the possibilities and the confidence so they can get out there and make a brilliant business with all the tech and all the design stuff. So that's what I do. That's my mission. I want that to be reflected throughout all of my branding, so all of my visual branding. And there's so much that has to be visual in our world today. Whole of social media, it's got to have pictures, it's got to have video, website, gotta have a website. That's all got to look beautiful. It's all got to tie together. It's all got to feel. This says I can't get past videos. I know, I feel the same. You wouldn't believe it, I'm being good today. The visual brand is a perfect way to communicate all of these things because it's pretty much instant. Because if you think about everything that bombards us these days, and so much is branded up, so that you will recognise it, like McDonald's uses their yellows and their reds, although they're moving on to a bit more of a farmy feel at the moment. You've got, say, Coca-Cola with their bright red vans and this sort of thing. So you just know who they are. So they're using colours in a very simple way, just there. But you want to use those same sorts of techniques throughout all of your branding so that people can recognise you. And those emotions that they may have felt when they visited your website, they may have felt when they listened to your videos, they may have felt when they visited your social media page and had a chat with you. You want them to feel those same emotions every time they engage with something that you've put out there with some of your marketing. So that's how the visual brand is really, 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 really important, and even more important these days in getting across all of this stuff. And also people don't read as much as they used to do. They scan, particularly on websites. They will scan, so they will go, header, is this interesting? Do I recognise it? No. Next one. Is this interesting? No. Next one. So that's what happens. So they're not going to read past all of your words unless they've gone to a specific blog and they're looking for a specific answer to something. And even then they'll scan a little bit. So you need to get it across. And a visual way to do that is one of the most powerful things you can do. So what is a visual brand? What is the visual side of it? So we have our little logo. And it may be little. In fact, some people, particularly like Marie Forleo, for example, that's quite a good example, who use a rather simple logo. I think it's just her signature. She might have changed it by now. But it's really something that doesn't stand out as like a unique shape, but it does stand out as hers. But it's never going to sit on its own in like the space, just the logo. It's always going to be on her social media or on her TV intros or on her YouTube header or social media or on her website header. It's never ever going to be on its own. So really I would say that her logo is literally a sign off. It's her signature. And a lot of the coaches use that as a logo, and that's absolutely fine. You don't have to get something designed up that says everything about your brand, because it's not going to. You cannot fit everything about your brand into a little logo. It's not possible. And it shouldn't be possible because you don't have to do it. It's going to be never on its own. So logos. I do like logos, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan. I do like logos, but there's just so much else to the brand, and I don't want you to get stuck on getting a logo designed. So what else do we need to get designed? This is designed. This is the international symbol for design. Colours, fonts, your images that you use, the layouts that you use, and that can be consistent. Elements like graphic elements, illustrations, little bits and pieces, little flourishes here and there, whether you always use a border and things, those sorts of elements. Packaging, if you've got a physical product, then your packaging is all about the visual, a little bit about the tactile as well, all about the visual. So all of this needs to be tied together and to be consistent across everything. Except when you're feeling rebellious, in which case you can have little elements that change every now and again. And I don't stick to everything all of the time. Sometimes it's nice to do something a little bit different. It's not ever completely out of it. It's always very me, obviously. But sometimes I have a little bit here and there that I've just thought, oh, I'm just going to put that in and do something a little bit different. If I've got a little bit of a different message, I might just try a bit of a different font here and there, not mix it up too much, a bit of a different colour if it needs to be on that image. So don't feel like you're a slave to your branding, and don't try to document this big saying how everything should be spaced out on everything, because you don't need a rule book, particularly as things change so much in business these days. You don't need that unless you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of employees who are going to change your branding on a daily basis. You don't need a tome. You don't. But what is really good is to have a set of guidelines that you can cheat with. And I'm all for cheating because it saves time. Don't rewrite the wheel every time. Try and get some consistency here with your visuals. And by setting your colours to maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6. Maybe you've got some secondary colours that you sometimes slip in there. Maybe you've only got 1 or 2 for some really sort of punchy branding, so it's really stand out. Your fonts, so I would only go for 2, maybe 3 fonts at the very most of your core brand that you will always return to, and you'll be able to draw on those. So you're not writing a meme thinking, oh, what font goes with this, and then putting it up on your social media and ending up with something that looks like a dog's dinner because you've got different fonts all over the place. It just doesn't work. It doesn't always give the same feeling, and it doesn't maintain that brand character that we've been speaking about. Images, what images you use. So whether you use lots of images of children, for example, or whether you use family type images, or whether you use images that make people go, oh, or oh, yummy. So to have some sort of consistency with images, that one's quite hard to talk about unless you go into the actual character of your brand, because there's so much variety out there. But by just consistently using similar colours in images, or similar sorts of themes, or similar ways that the image is taken, so whether it's always from a sort of angle or whether there's a filter over it, these sorts of things can really tie things together, and not so you don't have that jarring moment. So if we go back to that caring brand, so you've got a really caring brand, so maybe you're a psychiatrist, psychologist, and you've got people who come onto your website, they want help, they want to find you, they want to be listened to. So you want to have something that's professional but really warm and friendly and welcoming. Then you would choose those sorts of images. You wouldn't then choose something on your social media that makes people, that's a little bit sort of, just doesn't fit in, whether it's perfectly made up people enjoying a day at the beach, and you're normally about people enjoying time with their family, who are very natural looking and just having a really good time. You don't want to mix up these two sorts of looks. You don't want to mix up these two sorts of brands. You always want your images to say something really really consistent about you, that really fits in with that brand that we've been talking about. So also the layout of things, that can also help you. You can also have I'll always have my font over a square background, for example, which would be slightly see-through, and that'll go over the image. And you can use that throughout social media, posts, headers, leaflets, websites, and you don't have to stick to it all the time, but it really can help, and it can really help with your consistency. And that is then your branding, because that is what people will recognize. So not just a tiny little logo, that your words across a see-through square background will be on everything that you do and be instantly recognizable. And as long as you're consistent with it, and not to the nth degree, but as long as you're consistent with it, then it will start to become something that people recognize and start to associate with you. So also elements, little graphic elements. This is where you can have a bit of fun. I collect together, or fairies, which is the other things that I draw, but I also collect together watercolor splashes, which I do, but I also buy in from creativemarket.com's great place. You can buy lots of different illustrations. And I collect them together, and I can use them throughout my marketing, throughout my website, throughout social media, as the background to things. And because they're very similar sorts of elements and I use them throughout my marketing, they have become part of my branding, because it's consistent, and it's consistent with the sort of very, very happy and pretty and business beautician-y character that my business has. It's all rather whimsical. Whimsical and watercolour really do go together. So that's my brand character. So those elements, and drawing those elements through everything I do, is setting up my branding, and not just my little logo. So being consistent really is the main aim of the day. So I do have a style guide. It is literally a sheet of A4 that has my colours on it. It has my main font, which is a rather stylized handwritten font. So again, it's really friendly and a bit, it's not very formal, it's not very professional, it's welcoming, it's friendly, it's a bit whimsical, it's very flowy. It goes in my watercolors and my arms, which are doing this today. Don't know why. So I have my fonts, I have my colours, I have suggested images saved in a folder. It's not even on the same sheet, but I know what I'm going for. I have the various elements. Again, they're saved in a folder. I do have a couple on my style guide, my A4 sheet of paper to guide me. Layout, I use just one big word in my flowy text, sometimes three. Up to three, and then I have another font which I use on the side of it for when things need to be a little bit more readable, when there are more words. So I do have a consistent visual branding that goes through everything. It's written down. I know exactly what I'm looking for every single time, and yeah, I break my rules all the time. Rebel is one of my words, but I have that reference to always return to, and I always know what I'm looking for. And I always know how it's going to interact with the other elements, and I always know what I'm trying to say with it. So it becomes your brand. That has become my branding, not just my little logo. In fact, I very rarely use my logo. I don't even like my logo. I don't need to change logo. We'll write that down. But I don't use it because I use so many other things. And one of my elements is my little fairy. It's my illustrated fairy, which I do myself. And in fact, I think she has now become a character as much as I have in my business. Maybe she's my logo, if logos exist anymore, which I'm not entirely sure they do. So brand is not just the logo. It is all of these things, and it is mainly about what your business stands for and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to say. Visual part is an important part of communicating it, but it's not the whole thing. So if you need any help with this, I post up on my Facebook page and Instagram. I have both of you here. I've got Facebook here and Instagram up here, all both live. So I post on here ideas about branding and tech and how you can marry the two, which sometimes seems like an impossible task. But that's what I do, is I make things beautiful online. So both the tech and the design side. So I've just released my Online Gorgeous course, which does exactly that. And it starts off with a branding module, which goes through how to set up your brand character, how to find out what you're trying to say, and then how to apply it through your words and your images, your fonts and your colours, and to actually create a website with it in the end. But it's a great way to start, as I've already mentioned my quiz, which I'll post the link up in the comments, which is a great place to get some first ideas. Then if you're interested in building a website, then Online Gorgeous is definitely for you, because that will move it all online and it will make that branding easier to get in front of your customers on your website, which can be very difficult when you're faced with a blank theme, blank screen. I have no idea how to do it, and you're just choosing random colours. So it's really good idea to know what your style guide or your branding is before you go ahead. So I would definitely start with your branding. Have a look at the quiz. It's great fun. If you've got any questions, just type them in. I can stay on and answer a few. I've got here from Lucy. What if your background marble seems like part of your branding but is printed by someone like Vistaprint? Does that mean I can't really use it as part of my actual brand consistently? If you don't own the image, then no, you can't use it across all your marketing. If you can buy the image, then yes, you can use it across all of your marketing. But there will be sort of similar things. So if there's something you really like, it sounds like I'm not sure if that's on the website in Vistaprint, I know they do websites, then there are some fantastic graphic places you can go online. I mentioned creativemarket.com. creativemarket.com. I'll post that link in there as well. And if you go on there and look up backgrounds, there are tons and tons, well, there are tens of thousands of things that you can find in there that might have a similar feel. So you can type in a keyword, so you could type in marble. They also do background images. Oh, it's leaflets and business cards, yes. So yeah, if you've got it from them, you won't be able to use it across other things. But again, there are so many other ideas out there. So if you've seen something you like and you've seen something that really works for you, Lucy, if you have a look at creativemarket.com, and you can download, you can buy them for really, really cheap prices. I mean, sometimes they're like $2, $4 or something like that, for something that's designed by proper professional designers, so they're really good images, and you'll have the ability to use that across your marketing, and you can collect a few together then. So although you've got the consistency with the look, it's not always the same image, so you can use it across everything. So yeah, check it out. There might be, although I do warn you, it's highly addictive, and you'll be looking to get some sort of JPEG. Just make sure it's high resolution. It should be on there. It should be quite a big image for you to use across. Creativemarket.com. So I'll just type it in for you. There you go. Obviously the website version. Tara says, I'd love to see the branding quiz. Yes, where can I find the quiz? Here we go. I'll type this into Instagram after. businessbeautician.com/quiz. Easy to remember. It's just, it seems like a bit of fun, and then I don't know why it's linked to that page. Wait a minute, let me just check that is the one. Yes, need to sort out my link titles. Yes, that's a quiz. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it does come up with something that's surprisingly accurate at the end. But it's a really great way to start. It's just a great way to get a few ideas about where to start with your branding. So yeah, I'll just pop the Online Gorgeous link there as well. And I think that's all the questions. Anyone's got anyone up here? I'll post the links to Instagram as well, I promise. And I hope that's really helped. And have fun with your branding, because it is great fun. But then I do like my art. And don't get, that's okay, Tara, don't get really addicted to Creative Market, because it's very addictive. Once you see some of the gorgeous things on there, oh, I have that and I have that, and before you know it, you spent $100, but never mind. Never mind, it is absolutely wonderful. And they're such unique sorts of resources that you can use across your marketing. And just collecting things together will save you so much time and effort, and it'll mean that you've got something that stays consistent across all of your branding. So I hope I've helped, and I shall see you on here again soon. Thank you for joining me. I've got to find the end. I think the end button's up here and here, so I'll press it at the same time. Bye-bye. Hello, hi, this is Catherine Reynolds, the business beautician, just getting myself in comfortable because I've got a lot to talk about today, and I want to talk about fear of tech, which is a really big one for us entrepreneurs for a number of different reasons. So if you are scared of creating stuff online, or hi Belinda, or you're scared of creating a website, or you're scared of list building, or you're scared of social media, or anything techie makes you want to throw your computer and maybe yourself out of the window and tear all your hair out, and this is one for you. And you are not alone. In fact, most entrepreneurs I speak to and who come through my courses and who talk to me on my pages and on social media have a problem with tech. And they say, I'm not techie. In fact, computers break when I walk past them. I've had somebody who said that. I think they did break when she walked past them, but we got over it. We got over it. And so can you. So this is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about being really scared of learning new technologies for your business, being stuck, not being able to move forwards, and how it really affects what you do in your business, particularly as there's so much online. There's so much that we need to know. There's so much that is, you have to be really tech aware in business these days, regardless of whether you've got a £1 million business or whether you've got a tiny little one-person band. It's a real obstacle for some people. So it's something I'm going to talk about today, is fear of technology. So has it stopped you in your tracks? And it can stop people in their tracks. It can really stymie what they're doing, because they've got all this passion, they've got all this love for what they do, they've got a fantastic idea, they really want to get it going, but they're stopped by not being able to either afford to get somebody else to do it for them, or do it, or they can't do it themselves, or they can't face doing it themselves, or they've tried and it's all gone wrong, and then they don't want to try again, and they're hiding under their desk saying, oh, I'm just not techie. But you've got to be. In today's businesses, there is just so much that we need to know about technology. And perhaps in the old days, companies could set up on a street corner and talk to all their customers, and they don't have to be on this, that and the other. They could be in the yellow pages, the old yellow pages in the UK, which we flipped through and found things which were written down. Oh, that seems so old-fashioned now. Now, you have to at least be able to understand how to get on Google Maps. Otherwise, you're nowhere. So there are just so many different elements of technology that we need in every single part of our business. And yes, you might have been able to set up on a street corner. You can today if you've got a market stall, but it's not the sort of business that will grow and grow and grow and move forwards these days. We need so many more elements in there to make things grow. And it really has changed from being either a small company who can talk to all of their customers and they're all very local, and have one salesman going around with his briefcase and selling the products, to something which you can set up on your own with an idea, with your passion and a bit of a leap of faith, and you can set it up, no money, no investment, just working on it in your spare time. And that is the modern business, and that is where technology is fantastic, and it can really help us do this, and it can really help us move it forward. But at the same time, if you're then thinking, oh my God, I don't know how to do all this stuff. Everybody else knows how to do list building. Everybody else understands MailChimp. Everybody else has got a website. I've got to have a website. How do I do that? Then it can really stop you dead. It can really stop you dead in your tracks. And there are a few ways that this happens. It can either be that you've tried to DIY it and it's all gone horribly wrong and you're just never going to go there ever again, even though you know you have to. Or you've got somebody else to do it, but you don't know what to do with it then, because nothing stays still in business, in online business these days at all. You get a website and then you have to use it. It doesn't just sit there. Social media, you have to use it. You have to be there. You have to take part. You have to update things constantly, and it's constantly changing, it's constantly updating, and so you can feel very left behind even if you started out okay. So there are two sorts of people that I speak to. There are people who've got something but don't know how to use it, and then there are people that try to get something for themselves, they did it themselves, and now they want to hide from it forever and never go there again. So the fear of tech, you can start off without it and get it, or you could just be, I'm just not a techie person and somebody's got to help me out with this. And if you don't have the money, you can feel really, really stuck. Oh, hi Art Bugs. She says, she or he, I don't know. I find the setting up of websites okay. It's the promoting of the website Facebook page that you build I find almost a full-time job, and it is a full-time job. Yes, it's true. You have to be there. Pretty much constantly, but by timing when you're on there, by only giving yourself, right, okay, I'm going to do 10 minutes here at the beginning of the day, 10 minutes in the middle and 10 minutes at the end. Actually, you don't have to be there constantly answering people's questions. You can actually just time yourself through the day. So yeah, technology can be a gift, but yet it can also be a bind, and you can also feel rather beholden to something, and to be there, particularly with social media, because you might be missing out, because you think people will be posting, because you think that you have to be posting so many times a day, you have to be interacting so many times a day, and it can feel a bit of a bind. But again, those sorts of tricks and tips that people find as they go along is something that that you can learn from people in the industry, people doing what you're doing, and it's all about asking the right questions. Often it's all about asking the right questions, which is something I'm going to come back to a bit later. So what do you really need in your business technology wise? You need social media, of course, because it's free advertising most of the time. Brilliant. And it is brilliant, it's wonderful, but it can be really frustrating, and there are all different sorts of social media. I still don't know how to use Snapchat. I don't know, and do you know what, I don't think I'll ever know. I've given up. Snapchat's not my thing, but I'm on other places, and you have to pick and choose, and that's another thing about technology, is knowing what's the right thing for you, and not being afraid to make that choice. So Snapchat, not for me, but I don't know how to use it. It's fine, don't know how to use it. Accounting, so most of my accounts are now online. My husband's aren't. He still uses the pen and paper. Actually, they're kind of half online. I've made him do it. He's got his own business as well. I've kind of moved him a little bit online. So we've got a mixture of online and written down with the pen and paper, which he still insists on and says it's a lot better. But again, that's what he doesn't want to move on to. He doesn't want to move onto the technology with accounting. I don't blame him. Payments, so again, that's through online banking, or whether it's through machines in your shop, or whether you've got payment pages, whether you pay through PayPal, this sort of thing. It can really screw your mind up if you don't know what's best, where to go, how things move, how things fit in, and I don't know what to hide under the table sort of thing. Again, getting help in these areas can really help. Come back to that. Blogging, getting content out there, written content, visual content, video, getting a website. Everyone needs a website. You need a website. You need an online presence. List building, emails, Google. be on Google Maps, how to be on Google Maps. Marketing is just so technical now, and even writing some posts, even writing some blogs, if you're a writer, it does feel quite a challenge if you're great at writing, but then you've got to have an image, you've got to have a video, you've got to be able to join all these things together, and be an expert in everything sometimes, it feels like. So a lot of what I teach on my page is the technicalities of how to get a great image together to say what you mean, that doesn't put people off, that doesn't look as if your 13-year-old did it at school on PowerPoint. Which isn't a great look for a business. And everything is expected to look so shiny and so designed. And when everything is so constantly changing and constantly churning through, when you've got social media posts that have to be out daily, twice a day, 3 times a day sometimes, and you've got to get images for all of that, and you want to put text on, and it can feel like quite a scary thing to learn that amount of tech just for design. So you've not only got the platforms, you've got that. I'm scaring you. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I speak to so many people who have this problem, and they're just sitting there stuck. And they know what they need, but getting the help is very, very difficult move to make. Knowing where to go is quite a difficult thing to know. So there's just no excuse. There's just no getting away from it. There is loads that we need to know, loads that we need to learn. And it's a great opportunity. All of this stuff is such a great opportunity for us to build something exciting and to build something that we're really passionate about. And as you can see, I am sitting in my bedroom, which isn't the tidiest bedroom in the world. And my business started out here. So it has moved on since, because I do most of my videos in here because it's nice. But, you know, this is the way that I built a business. I built a business on my own. I built a business from my bedroom, from my kitchen table. And I used all this wonderful technology to help me do that without thousands of pounds of investment and without thousands of pounds of marketing investment, and without having to spend thousands of pounds every month trying to get the word out there. Technology is absolutely fabulous, and it can enable us to have all these different sorts of passionate businesses, which we don't have to have a business plan for and try account for everything. But it's just getting that technology to work for us that we really need to get our minds around. So one way that people do this is that if they haven't got the money to go and pay somebody to do it for them, is you Google it, which is great. Google's fantastic. You can get loads of stuff, loads of information off Google. You can get an answer to almost anything, I think, on Google. But the problem with that is that it is a mixed bag of what you get back. And this can really scupper your plans. If you're trying to learn, say, how to set up your list in MailChimp, for example, so you might Google in, how do I list build in MailChimp? How to use MailChimp? How do I set up a form? And it goes on as you get stuck. How do I do this in MailChimp? Where do I start? What do I need to list? What's a merge field? Blah, 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 blah. And then by the end of that, you've got so many different, maybe conflicting bits of advice from different times that have been written when the software was this, when the software was that, that don't give you a full picture of a process from beginning to end. And there lies the tearing your hair out and I'm never going to do this again and I am not techie. And that's where a tech fear comes from. It can come from experience. And I love Google. It's brilliant. But sometimes it can really scupper your plans. And that's mainly because you're not finding the right voice to help you. So if you're typing it into Google, you can come across somebody who might not particularly speak your language, actually, or they might just not speak like you, or they might not be able to communicate as well as other people how to do something. or you might just have half the story from them. It might just be one post in many, or it might just be one post that was supposed to help somebody specifically with another problem that's not quite like your problem. So it's not a learning experience. So if you were trying to build a bridge, or if you're trying to be an architect, so I'm going to be an architect, so I'm going to Google it. You wouldn't do that. But when it comes to how do I build a WordPress website, you might actually type that in and you will get thousands of answers. You'll get thousands of people with various levels of experience, various levels, talking at different levels, talking to different people, and you'll get a very mixed bag. And yes, you'll get some answers, and you might just come across gold. You might just come across something that takes you from start to finish, and it's exactly what you need. But this is one of the problems that I get when people come to me, is that I tried to DIY it and I just couldn't. I didn't understand it. I was tearing my hair out over it for hours and hours and hours. I couldn't find an answer. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And it's just not me. And I can't do it. And that's normally where it ends up. So that is the danger of Googling it, is that you find something that's not exactly right for you. So if I was looking for a guitar teacher for my daughter, I wouldn't choose somebody who speaks Polish, because we're English and she doesn't speak Polish, unfortunately. And I wouldn't choose somebody who didn't play the type of music she likes, and I wouldn't choose somebody who has who's teaching level 2 when she's a complete beginner. But that's the kind of thing that you get if you just type randomly into Google, how do I build a WordPress website? And you could get something perfect for you, or you could get something that's really not. So don't feel that you're alone. If you have already tried to DIY some of this tech and it has gone horribly wrong, and you want to tear your hair out, throw your computer out the window and say, I give up on computers, I just don't get it. It's not just you. It's not you. It's not the tech. It's just that you haven't had the proper learning experience for you that has really, given you that light bulb moment where everything makes sense and you can start to move forward and learn with it. So it's not you. You are not techie. Nobody is not techie. And actually, I'll tell you a story about one of my lovely clients who came to me who wasn't techie, and she's one of those people that computers blow up if she walks anywhere near them, she was told. And she came to me wanting to build a shop, a jewellery store online. And this is somebody that I actually did a bespoke site for, rather than taught her how to do it, although I always do that at the end. And she started out saying, oh, it's got to do this and that and everything. Oh, it's so difficult. And I was like, no, let's just take this. What do you need it to do? And we worked together and we built exactly what it needed to do and how it needed to flow. And yes, she was delighted, it looks fabulous. But at the end of it, we had a training session. And this is the most important part of any website, is knowing how to use it. And bless her, she went from, I don't get it, I don't want to know. I don't want to know about the website, and I'm just going to do this. But it was a shop. It was a big shop. And she was always finding beautiful new pieces of jewellery to go in it. So it wouldn't have been practical for her to come back to me every single time she needed another product on there, every single time she wanted to post a blog, every single time she wanted to create an image for her website that fit in with the other images, with all these new products that she was putting through. So we did end up doing the training, and I was absolutely amazed at the level, the quality that she managed to produce. She managed to produce a lot of really well-branded images of her jewellery on a beautiful background. It even had her logo looking like a watermark, and they were all very similar. So it just really made the website gel together. I'd put some on there for her already, and she just went for it. she put products on, she put delivery terms on, she put new blogs on, she joined them all together. It looked brilliant. And she'd come back to me with various questions every so often. The headers I'd help her out with because that was a bit more designy. So we did that together. But she went from not being able to understand anything and being totally scared of it to having a beautiful website that she could actually use and she could actually change and she could actually update. And it's grown and grown and grown. So I'm so proud. I'm so proud of her. And she doesn't come to me fearing it anymore. There are certain annoyances that, oh, why is it doing this? Why is it doing this? I don't understand how I can make it do that. It's being naughty. And so I hit it over the head a few times and say, yes, it was being naughty, and help her out. But that, again, that's another great thing, is that she's got somebody to come to who can help her through understanding what a problem is, and then fixing it so it doesn't all happen again. And it's not this mysterious, it happens behind closed doors of the designer and nobody must ever know what it is. We don't do that. What you need is, even if you get somebody else to design a website, even if you DIY it, is you need to have control of what it is, simply because of the pace of how we need to update things, how we need to change things. You need control of where it is. It's your property. So don't be held to ransom by developers, by designers. Take control of websites, take control of your list builds and whatever software it is, so that you know exactly what is going on. Even if you're not doing it on a day-to-day basis, you've got that control of what is effectively your modern business these days, because there's so much emphasis on this. It's not just a little sideline that you can forget. It's not just a web page that was a brochure in the old days and never changed from day to day, year to year. 10 years down the line, it's still the same. And actually, I had another client. Oh no, she wasn't a client. She was just somebody I was talking to, actually. It's like, oh, you've got your own business. Oh, yeah, I've got my own business. What's your business? Oh, my business is web designing. I've got this troublesome website. So it's one of those. And I was sitting there talking to her about her website, and she's just like, oh, I don't know what to do about it. It's just awful. It's got hacked twice. And she's like, oh, it's a real story. And this was something that had been built for her, and something that she was pleased with at the time, but she says, oh, I can't update it. Nothing gets updated. Nothing ever gets done. Oh, it needs, we've been trying to get this updates live for about a year, and now it's got hacked. And what do you suggest? I just don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, so you haven't updated it for a year? So no, I haven't updated it. And it was a WordPress website, actually, I found out. And she hadn't updated the WordPress and plugins. That's one problem with websites these days, is that if you don't update them, they're vulnerable to hacking. So because she didn't understand, one, that could happen, and two, that things need to be updated, and you can't go through a process every time you need to update something and then sign everything off in minute detail, because it'll never get done, and then it'll never get updated, and then it'll get hacked. So that's what happened. And it was that lack of understanding, that lack of communication with her web developer, that really led her to getting ever more fearful of her own website. And she had some fantastic business ideas that were all web-based, but she was stuck with this website she didn't get. It wasn't updating. The developer wasn't working with her to make her understand what she could do with what she's got, or what she should do with what she's got. And so she was just feeling she was totally stuck, total mess. And obviously I gave her some advice, and I hope she updated her website and got it unhacked. But yeah, it was really, it can happen either way. You can either get stuck because you're DIYing and then you don't have the skills to do it, or you don't understand what you're doing, or you can actually spend some good money, these can be expensive websites, but then because you don't understand it, either you can't do something with it, you can't control it, and bad things feel like they're just happening to you because you don't get it. And if you don't get something, you can't move forward, you can't do anything with it. And it's just so important to get that key understanding in the technology sounds very scary that way, doesn't it? In what you're in your business, because this is actually your business, and the online part of it is probably as much your business as the offline parts these days. So things have changed quite a lot since the old days. Now, what else did I want to say to you? Let me see. Yeah, so really what I wanted to say is get somebody you trust to help you through these technology blocks. So whatever it is, find somebody whose voice really resonates with you, who you can understand, who really gets where you're coming from, who sings the same songs as you, not literally, although maybe, I don't know, if you write songs, that might be great, but who really speaks your language so you can really get what they're saying, and you will learn so much more through what you're doing. So yes, Google something, but do some research on the person, find their social media, see what they're saying, see what they're supporting people with, and whether you really get it, whether it's the right level for you, and then see what they do. And don't be frightened on spending a little bit of money learning these things, because it will pay you so much. It will really help you out so much in the future, because you will have some support, you'll have a learning experience rather than just patchy here and there. Maybe I'll try and figure it out myself. And then hiding under the table and ignoring it. So that's my advice, is to avoid getting stuck, is to find the right person who can help you learn it, maybe get some support. There are some fabulous Facebook groups actually out there that can support you on website building, website design, any themes that you're using. Type it into the search, see what's out there, and then you can ask questions of that group, and really get them to have some very detailed help with anything you're stuck with, because stuck is going to happen. Stuck happens to me all the time, and yes, I can Google myself out of it, but I know exactly what I'm looking for most of the time with what I get stuck with, or I find going to sleep actually helps the next day. It's amazing. It's fixed. Don't know how that happens, but it happens to me a lot. But also I've got various people I can turn to for support, and I can ask the right questions to the right people and get an answer that works for me. So tech fear can happen any level, but there are some things you could do to avoid it. And it's really important to try and move past those blocks, because it can so hold you back in your business. So these are the kinds of things that I do support people with on social media and on my blog, and through my newsletter, with tech problems, design problems, anything in between problems, and I specialise in design and website building. So if you've got any questions on those sorts of things, pop it in the comments now, or if you're live, or if you want to come back, if this is recorded, then pop it in. I'll get to you later. But yeah, I really like to help people through these tech blocks, because it can really release their flow and their ideas and make their business grow. So that's all I have to say about tech fear for now. I'll do a scary look. Tech fear. But try not to feel too scared of it. Try to get help. Try to get the right help, and you won't get too stuck. So I hope I've helped you today. if you're interested in website building and design, help with that, and you like what I say and I'm singing the same song as you, and maybe you're stuck with the website, then my Online Gorgeous course is open at the moment. It's an 8-week course where we go through getting your brands designed, all your branding style guide together, and then making a Drop Dead Gorgeous website with a shop and a members area, and we go over list building, and we go over social media and all the gubbins in between, and you get my personal help in the Facebook group, and I only do it for 25 people at a time, so really, really small groups. Jane's excited for the course. Yay! Start on the 5th of February, but when you go in, you get the branding module, so that's the really fun one. So people like to do that one because it's a nice, easy in. It doesn't feel too techie scary at the beginning. And then you can get your website looking absolutely fabulous, which is the whole point of the course. So I'll pop a link in I'm not sure how to do that on Instagram, but I'll pop it into Facebook. And if you're on Instagram, then click the link in the bio, or there are some swipe up stories as well, where you can get the link. But yeah, any questions, type them in and I will be very happy to answer. So have a great evening or day if you're in America, and I shall speak to you soon. Bye-bye. I'm going to out of Instagram.